topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where for the last 16 years, we have been topics in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. This is the first Wednesday of the month. By the way, Happy New Year to everybody. First Wednesday of the month is our Dr. Eldred Taylor, which is, I have to say this, we've got about 30 shows. This is my favorite show. I learn more from this show. We get more letters from this show. And we've got a treat this morning. Dr. Taylor and his wife just got back from Africa. And he told me he's learned even more than his trip from Egypt. Good morning, Dr. Taylor.
Hello. Hey, how are you doing? Yep. So, it's always a learning experience when you go to Africa because there's so much history there and there's so many things there that you can't find anywhere else. And so this was not really a vacation. This is what I call this was a shared experience. It was an adventure with me and my wife. And it was a lesson to say, hey, look, if you have plans to do something, you need to do it as soon as possible. You know, last year we had always wanted to go to Egypt, so we went to Egypt. And this year we decided we were going to go do a safari. We went on a safari like 14 years ago, but it was with our kids, and it was in Kenya and Tanzania. And so this one was in Uganda and Rwanda. And if you know about Rwanda, in 1994 they had a genocide there where there's two tribes and they were killing and it was an awful thing. But Rwanda, now they've recovered. We went to the museum and they talked about the history and how they've recovered from it. It's a clean, beautiful city. And so we went to Rwanda and Uganda. You may not even know where those places are. So I have some slides. You want to talk about the trip? I can quickly go through some slides.
I have a question for you.
Okay. All right,
you have been married for a long time. Mm-hmm. How do you and your wife decide where you're going to go?
Yeah, well, you know what? We had talked about going to Egypt like 10 or 15 years ago when they were having the uprising in Egypt. I've forgotten how long ago. They had a turnover in the government and we were supposed to go then, and we never went. And so last year when I went through this kind of transformation, that reality creator, we looked at each other and said, hey, let's go. And that's kind of what I talked about, getting over my fear and getting over the fear of the unknown. We just went, and it was the best experience we ever had. Then, in the middle of the year, we went to Ghana. Another thing, so much history there about the slave trade and all of that. And then this was another one. The reason why we went, and this is the funny part of this, we wanted to track the gorillas. That's something that you're supposed to do in Uganda. And I found that out from a patient who did it. He showed me the pictures, and they were right up on these gorillas, like, we ought to do that one day. Wow. And so when we say something like that, my wife hears it, and she's like, hey, we said we were going to do that one day. We ought to do it. And I said, okay, well, let's do it. And so about maybe 4 or 5 weeks before we actually did it, we scheduled it, we planned it, and we went. And to me, has helped my wife and our relationship. Doing these kind of spur of the moment things, these exciting things, it has brought us closer together, just like with Egypt. And so that's one of the reasons why I did this podcast, because I've been looking at these YouTube videos, and these older couples are, and sometimes these older widows or widowers, they don't regret the things that they did do. They regret the things that they didn't do. And they talk about the trips that they didn't take and the things that they wanted to do with their wives or their husbands that they decided not to do, like dancing lessons or going to a park or whatever. And so I don't want to be older and regret the things that I didn't do. So when something comes up and we say, hey, we ought to do that one day, my wife starts to calculate, how can we do it sooner than later? And I just follow her lead, like most married men who've been married for more than 20 years. You just do what your wife tells you to do. That's how it goes.
Hey, I gotta ask you, what's next on the bucket list?
I don't know. Hey, we have some serious jet lag. I'm waking up at all different times of night. So right now we're not planning the next trip yet. We got to get over this one first because it's an 8-hour time difference, and we were there for 2 weeks. So my cortisol rhythm's all screwed up. Luckily, I had a little bit of a nap before I had to do these podcasts, so I feel pretty good. But yeah, my sleep schedule is all screwed up. So yeah, but I don't know what the next trip is going to be.
Before we go to your trip, tell people about Taylor Medical Group.
Okay, yeah. So how I got started with Steve is that I'm trained as an OBGYN, and I got interested in functional medicine and weight loss, and that's why I started on Ask the Experts. But that was 3-4 years ago, and I've kind of evolved since then. I've started my own thing called Ageless Blueprint. I've done and so to make a long story short, I went from doing OBGYN to functional medicine. We wrote 2 books called Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And The Stress Connection, to talk about bioidentical hormones and saliva testing. And then from that, we got into this longevity and aging medicine. And a part of being ageless is not letting life pass you by. And that's what I'm encouraging people to do as they get older, is don't let life pass them by. Keep living until you die. Don't live for 40 years and then the next 40 years you slowly die away. Just try to keep living until you die and not fade away into death. Okay, so that's my goal.
How do people get on the mailing list for your Ageless?
Oh, you go to it used to be down there, www.school.com/ageless. There it is. And you can go to the About page. It tells you what it's all about. I actually started a Hormone Clarity Chat GPT where you can download that for free and you can ask it any kind of questions about your hormones and stress. It's really, it really has my 2 books and a Chat GPT. So you can kind of ask the question. So if you go to school, I really revamped the school to make it where it's really educational and you kind of know the steps to take. So you can learn about hormones and then you can learn about meditation and mindset, but it's kind of broken up so you can do one step at a time. And I'm while we were gone, that's all I was thinking about when I wasn't on a safari is how can I make the podcast better? How can I make Ageless Blueprint better? And so you'll see that it's kind of under construction, but hopefully it's going to be much more meaningful.
I'm a subscriber. I read it almost every day. I got to tell you, folks, it's the most interesting educational information you will ever want to read. And, you say we're on YouTube where you can see the address, but we have so many people on radio and iHeart who don't get to see it. Again, it's www.school.com, ages/about. Folks, I'm telling you, you will want to share this with all your friends. Let's get to the trip.
Okay. All right. So we'll go here. Just, you can put up that first slide. And I spent like 50 minutes doing this on my podcast. So I'm going to go this real fast. I may skip some, but this is the key. This is a certificate they give you if you climb up this mountain. And I'll show you how you have to get to the gorillas. But this is a certificate saying that I made it to see the gorillas. And the reason why that's so important is because I had to climb up a mountain that's 10,000 feet. And I'll show you how high that is and how strenuous it was. So I'll get to that. But this is a reflection on aging, marriage, fear, and aliveness. So don't wait till later. Do what you can, do it now. So this wasn't a vacation. This was a shared experience of me and my wife. And we figured out that these shared experiences are very valuable to our relationship. So we went to Rwanda and Uganda. And to be honest with you, I didn't know that the equator went straight through Uganda. So we are on the equator right now. That's what that line is.
Mm.
And these are these two parks that we went to on the safaris. And these are the gorillas. This is what we went to see. And we
Wow.
had to hike 4 hours up a mountain, 10,000 feet with no trail. And you see how thick this jungle is? People with machetes were, well, it was two guys with machetes in front of us making a trail. There was no trail. And we had guides who would have to help us up. It took us 4 hours. It really should only take like 2 hours. But at our age, it took us 4 hours. But we were so excited after it was over. Now, it was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. So the most strenuous physical activity I've ever done. This is after 4 hours of climbing straight up a mountain. You see how my wife looks? And she was totally exhausted. She could barely walk. It was, at our age, this is something that we probably shouldn't have done, but we did it and we were very proud of ourselves. And
why were you wearing masks?
I know, that's what somebody asked on the podcast. It is not to protect us from the gorillas. It's to protect gorillas from us, giving them some kind of viral infection that could kill them. Yeah, because people come from all over the world to track these gorillas. So as when you're around them, if you're within like 20 feet of them, and I mean, we were really close. Like, I think that's a gorilla like right behind us, that black. Sometimes you can't see it. I mean, we were really close. And when you're close, you have to wear the mask. Now, on the way up and down, you don't have to do it. But when you're right there with them and you're able to take pictures like this close, you have to wear the mask. If we had to wear the mask,
they don't attack you at all?
Well, the thing is that they do these trips every day. So over the course of years, the gorillas have gotten used to people. As long as you don't, like, you can't, we had a walking stick. You can't carry anything up there that they may think is a weapon or something that had been used in the past to kind of what the poachers would do. So as long as you are quiet and still and you don't act aggressive toward them, they sit there and sleep and eat. You can see that they're totally relaxed. And this is not that much of a zoom. This is a zoom, but I mean, this is really just, we were like 10 feet away and they're just laying there and we're sitting there and
wow.
That's what we did. So would I do it again? No. But would I trade it? Never. So, so this is 2 days. This is us coming down. We were totally exhausted. Okay, you see my wife, she was totally exhausted. I was too. It took.
How did you get lucky enough to get such a beautiful wife?
Hey, I don't know, and I just try to stay low and keep quiet, and hopefully that she doesn't notice who she's married. I just try not to rock the boat. Okay, that's my whole goal.
I hear.
But yeah, so this is us 2 days afterwards, and I'm gonna tell you, we've never been so proud of ourselves that we did it. It pushed us to our limit and we did it. And so we're very proud of ourselves. Would I do it again? Would I tell you to do it, Steve? No. Okay. No. And if I had known what I was getting myself into, I wouldn't have done it. But one of the things about being fearless and living life to the fullest is not being afraid of doing something unknown, doing something out of the ordinary. Don't be afraid to do it just because you don't know how it's going to turn out. And I'm going to tell you, halfway up that mountain, I didn't know how it was going to turn out. Is that, we couldn't turn around because nobody was going to go down with us. There was no trail to follow. So one of the guys would have to have taken us down. So you get to a point of no return and you got to keep going. And, it's almost like this must be how the marathon runners feel. Once you get halfway there, you might as well keep going because it's going to take just as long as you turn around. So we kind of had to come to that realization. We just had to keep going. And like I said, we were proud of ourselves. So it took endurance. We had to face all our fears. We had to be committed that we were going to go do it no matter what. And we had to continue, stopping even though it made sense to stop. So this is how high up we were. So this is where we started from, way down there. So this is 10,000 feet up. And this is another level. So I'm actually standing on ground higher than this. This is not like a drone picture or anything. And when you're walking up that mountain, well, that's what I'm saying. We had to get over those fears because when you're walking up the trail, you're right on the edge of the mountain, and you can look over and you can see that. And after a while, all you're thinking about is putting one foot in front of the other and trying to get up that mountain. You don't even have time to think about how high up you are or anything. But and my wife has a real fear of heights, but you have to put that out of your mind. You had to put that out of your mind. I mean, like I said, she made it. And this is a cultural thing that we did. Oh, let me go back. So you did a cultural experience, and these are, back before colonization, there were kings and queens of Rwanda. So this is kind of the king and queen garb. And it's just talking about, you want to know and experience different cultures and learn about people's history. So those are the kind of things that we were doing. And so after 40 years, we shared something together. This is when we were about to leave. The day before, we stayed in a nice hotel. And you see, we look pretty much recovered. We look pretty good in that picture. So, yeah, even though we went through, go ahead.
You're on a certain type diet. How was the food there?
Oh, it was good. There, it's easy to get vegetarian food over there. They had meat, but they had a lot of vegetarian options. And that's one of the ageless things we do is we use a pretty much plant-based diet, so hopefully that helped some with, our endurance and helped us get up that mountain. So, relationships don't end from conflict, from stagnation. We were out there, there's zebras and things out there. It's really amazing to be out there with nature. And, I've been listening to stuff on YouTube about people who are older and they've lost their spouses, and they talk about how they don't regret the things they did. They regret the things that they didn't do. So I'm trying to make sure we don't have a lot of regrets by doing things later. And so that's it. We're not chasing trips. We're just trying to, not postpone life. And as long as you've got life in you, you ought to, we think you ought to live it. So that's it, man. You know what? Go ahead.
How many people were in your group when you went up the mountain?
It was just two. It was another couple, and they were younger, and we let them actually go ahead of us. So, hey, if I got a little time, hey, this is like a one minute video. Can you show the video of the elephants? This is some of the things that you see when you're on safari.
Oh,
so we were in our Jeep, and so this is Daddy,
baby,
little babies, and this is a whole family. Okay, so this is Dad, and they're going toward the water to get their drink. In the middle of the day, they like to be close to the water, and at night they come out and they graze over the grass. And Rebel was telling me, and I think our guide told us too. The reason why I'm sitting here is because this is the mother. She makes sure everybody crosses the road safely, and she comes up behind. Yeah. So, we were out there with nature, man. I tell you, if anybody, I wouldn't tell you to go up the mountain, but to do a safari, that should be on everybody's bucket list, is to see how nature works and the cycles, and how all the animals kind of get along, and who's the predators and who's the prey, and how they avoid each other, and how one tries to catch the other. So, nature is it's amazing. So that's my trip. As soon as I figure out what the next one's going to be, I'll let you know, Steve, and we'll go from there. But
I want people to know, if you missed part of the show today, we're going to be replaying the show again this afternoon at 5:00 Eastern time. We're going to be replaying the show, and we are so blessed. We just found out that we have Dr. Taylor for the next 2 years. And that was a Christmas. That was a Christmas present to me.
Yeah. Okay.
And I had somebody asked me from Atlanta, is your wife still in practice?
Yeah, we practice together. Now, they may remember her from being a psychiatrist, which she still is. Yeah. But she really does it in a functional medicine type way. So she's still half psychiatrist, half functional medicine. Like I'm half OBGYN and half functional medicine. So yeah,
Well,
she's still in practice.
Next month, I already have our show topic. We have had so many people wanting to know what functional medicine is. And
Okay.
that's your forte. So next month, we're going to do a show just on functional medicine. Again, you can watch today's show again on W4CY.com at 5 o'clock Eastern. Dr. Taylor, I'm glad you got back safe.
Thanks.
I love you, bro.
Hey, and make sure you remind me what the topic is supposed to be next month.
I will do that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See you guys. Thanks, and
Taylor.
happy New Year to you and everybody who's watching. All right.
We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.